You're tuned into Tackle Fanatics TV, and in this episode of TFTV you get a chance to watch the fantastic Nash box set part 2, film 2.
We brought out 3 new baits, the Key, TG Active and 4G Squid. Some of our regular customers are a little bit upset when we dropped some baits, but in total honesty, I could dip my hand in a lucky dip, pick out one of them and use it for the whole of the season. 4G Squid stands for 4 generation squid. The squid's been going for now 30, getting on to 40 years. It's nearly as old as me. It's one of the first things I discovered at Nashbait, which really seriously made a massive difference to captures. The past 20 years I've proved that. Every water I know of has been hammered, if you like, with squid baits, and do bring in a little bit of the old into them. Like the 4G Squid, for instance, is the same as the Scope Squid Red, but it's got extra rock salt and extra minerals and little supplements which have made a massive difference in field testing. Many years of work, many years of fishing, many years of catching lots and lots of carp. It's developed for all types of water. Like, I'm going to be fishing a very hard water, hardly any carp in it. I know the carp don't respond really quick to boilies, but I know that they do respond to 4G Squid. Towards the end of last season I managed to get a couple off out of deep water, and I just can't wait to start using it now. The TG Active was a shot at getting away from squid, if you like. One of my major suppliers, they bought out a massive spice company. I'd borrowed and had samples sent to me, lots and lots of different spices and mixes, and this one in particular, what goes in the tandoori garlic, TG Active, is just exceptional. I thought it deserved a new base mix, and I've been working on a lot of different new base mixes lately, and so we put it in a new base mix, what we've actually been catching a lot of fish on with other flavour systems, and everything just gelled together. I adjusted the base mix to suit the tandoori paste. Steve Sinclair and quite a few of my mates have used several different versions of it, and it all accumulated to using the one with the garlic essential oil in it. Again, something which I've been making garlic essential oil baits for years for people. And some of the better recipes with it really come into it when you're using spices as the rest of the attraction. It's just years and years of putting things together, putting different ideas together into one bait, and it really has done good. I'm working on another one now. And then we got the Key, a product what we've been developing with Keith Sykes. He's had years and years of experience of special hook bait mixes and making special hook bait, single hook bait fishing.
I've been really interested in bait for in excess of 40 years, having spent 20 years in a nutrition faculty. So I've had access to lab facilities where we've been able to test and look at some of the properties of bait a lot closer. The 2 greatest influences in my life have to be the man who really brought HMV baits to our attention, Fred Wilton, from the hub of carp fishing certainly in the 60s and 70s and into the early 80s in Kent. And then later on, obviously, the man himself, Rod Hutchinson. My interest in HMV really was because Fred had this concept that animals would pick out ingredients or additives or natural food sources that they were apparently lacking in their own nutritional devices. And a few years later, in the early 80s, I set up Cotswold Baits with a couple of my friends. And it was at that point that I really wanted to start developing the true ethos of Wilton and the nutritional avenue. We're at the Carp Society's lake, Lechlade. It's got a lot of fond memories for me. But it was a lake that gave me the opportunity to acquire so much more knowledge about carp bait. We certainly, there's no question, my late best man and another guy, Dave Curtis, they were fishing with what I would call simple boiled baits. And I started introducing the milk proteins, and the size of fish I was catching was noticeably larger. With a carp, unlike our digestive system, a carp's digestive system is very, very straightforward, very simple, relying on its own enzyme system, chymotrypsin and trypsin. It's proven now that the addition of enzyme systems into aquatic feed and the use of probiotics stimulate natural enzyme systems of the carp itself. My initial use of enzyme systems, specific enzyme systems to attack particular areas of the bait, sort of almost got lost in the mist of time, really. It was really a chance meeting with Kevin Nash. We were talking about the old days. He said, well, have you ever sort of considered bringing up the HMV concept really bang up to date? A lot of the initial work that I did on amino acids actually was at this lake. We were literally using raw amino acids in various volumes in single hook baits. It was a way that we could see, and it is a perfect place because of the numbers of fish, if there was any particular amino acid complex which was better. This amino acid complex that we eventually arrived at, which, as I say, has taken a long time tweaking, and I mean tweaking. We've now got to a point where this complex is as perfect as nature will allow us to get it. One of the most vital parts of a bait, and I say vital, is the vitamin and mineral complex. We've arrived at what we feel is the most up-to-date vitamin complex that we could get for carp. Take it out and the bait is still extremely good. Put it in and it revs it up another notch. With the combination of the enzyme system, which is partially breaking down some of these very complex proteins, making the carp digest them so much easier, and therefore because of that digestibility, not only are they benefiting from it, they're actually seeking it out. This is how they locate their food after all said and done. And with the combination of the attractors in the form of the amino acids, the vitamins are just giving them things that they need and sometimes they cannot get readily. So those are the three elements. When I developed this bait, I was very conscious of the sensitivity of some of the ingredients to heat. Gary at the bait factory had to look at the boiling process and had to adapt his boilers. The process is very, very short. We end up with what to many people is a soft bait. Again, there is a reason for that. That softness is not just created by a short boiling time, it's created by the enzyme system that we're using, which is activated during the boiling process. And when it's cooled off, it is deactivated, and then it comes back to life. I can't go into too much more detail because it would probably bore the pants off of you, and it is a bit of a secret almost to the success of the key. I always advocate, I always have done, any baits with milks in, to use them from frozen. I would certainly advocate this in the case of the key. A lot of people say to us, we notice it's not available as a shelf life. What stabilisation does of the key is deactivates the enzyme system that we use. It would be nice if we can overcome it. Who knows, in the future we might. Application of this bait is very, very important, like any good quality HMV bait, in my opinion. In the old HMV bait days, when we were using milk proteins, we were using very, very high levels of milk proteins. We got the protein concept was a buzzword. It was HP, you know, high protein baits. The higher the protein, the better the bait. Well, it wasn't, because, as I say, there becomes a point where carp can only utilise and digest so much of that protein. The rest of it, they poo out. The key, you don't need to use so much of it. No different to those old milk baits, you know. The bait stays in the fish longer. It stays in there longer for one reason, because it's doing them good. And there is no reason for them to excrete it. As a generalisation, we would suggest that you start using key in a fishing situation. If you can afford it and you can bait up with a bit, then great. But even that, we found it isn't essential. Bait's gone into lakes and kicked off straight away. The one interesting thing is that the majority of people have used, it would say 25-30% of what they would normally use of their old baits is what they use of the key. So the key, and excuse the pun, but the key to all of this is when you use it, little, when you feed it, little and often, and that seems to be the way that you will catch the fish. There's no question that these fish want this bait. Yeah, cultured hook baits. Well, as we were saying about the key, and I'm not going to give everything away about the cultured baits, because again, there was a lot of work went into them. When we showed Kevin them, he just couldn't get his head around what we were all catching on. We've got a perfect liquid that we use in the key. It is the mainstay liquid that goes into the key. It is a living product. It's made fresh for us. It's harvested fresh for us. The great thing about this product is it's sticky, and it works with other natural ingredients. The cultured bait, basically you've got a core, and the core is the key bait itself. And then around the culture itself, the core is coated with this harvested living residue that we have. This incredible material. It's totally natural. It's mimicking the natural food messages that a carp will be experiencing every day. Carp just love it. It's like nectar to them. They can't get enough of it. Poor old Gary, he then had to turn what was effectively, I say a cottage industry, but we were making these in our little mini lab, into a commercial product, and that's caused headaches. There's a vast investment in machinery. It's not a case of just getting these things and putting them through a rolling machine and they come out the other end. They are round, but they vary because they are natural. They're a natural product. There is a way to fish the cultured bait. Dean's going to show you the rig that he really developed for it, and the best way of fishing it alleviates tangles, but we found that it's the best presentation. Get your head around the size, because some people say, oh, it's a bit big. Harping back to the Wilton days, we were using baits the size of tangerines. They got big mouths, they'll get them in them. If they want that enough, they'll get them down the throats. I've been excited developing both of them. The cultured bait, the key, the ethics of key, the elements of key. It's the future of carp baits. In my mind, there's no question about that. These baits do appear to be very, and notice I use the word appear, they do appear to select the bigger fish in the lake, and quite often very, very quickly. That's the key. To me, it's unlocked a lot of doors. I hope it will unlock a lot of doors for you guys if you would like to use it at some time. And as we used to say down in the valley, be lucky.
For many years now, I've been using particles on and off. My very early carp years were particles only before I really started using special pastes and boilies and things like that. And I caught a lot of fish on particles. I use mainly beans and bigger particles and what today's trend is with the party blends and things like that. So we've actually incorporated a large seed mix, like called the salted mega seed mix, into the range, which covers nearly all of what I used to use. A perfect mix for, I believe, the bigger fish, keeping away from the roach and stuff like that, and making your particle work for you on a lot more different waters. The way we cook it, actually in the bag, it's all sealed up and everything cooked, fully sterilised. It's just how we always used to make it, basically fresh. You open the bag and you've got fresh particle. You know, when you open that bag, you've got to treat it then as a product to be frozen if you're not going to use it all. We did look at making preserved particles and PVA friendly particles and things like that. You'd need so much preservative, just more preservative than what we'd ever want to put in our own swims, and so we decided against that. The 6 particles in the range, we've got the salted mega mix, which is a large mix what I've just discussed. We've got a salted mini mix, which is brilliant for the people that sort of like to use the party blends and things like that. It's a blend what I've actually put together myself, because when you look at most party blends, there's a lot of seeds in there that the carp just don't eat. Things like Niger seed, and some of them's got mustard seeds and stuff like that. I've never ever done anything good on when I've used them as single items, and so there's no point in putting them in. So it's a special party mix, if you like, Basie party mix. And then we've got 2 hemps. We've added a little bit of extra fish oil to one of the hemps, fish oil and hemp oil. Same with the slicker spiced hemp. Again, it's got the same oils in it. It made that much different. We didn't want to not put it in the spiced one. The spiced one's got like a couple of different essential oils. It's got piri piri seeds in it. It's just a very, very good spicy bait, but without that seriously strong kick which either works or doesn't work on some waters. Then we've got tiger nuts. We've done them in a candy type syrup, done ever so well on that. We've got a tiger nut slush. Now that is something really special. That clouds up if you mix it with a lot of water and things like that. It makes a terrific carpet on the bottom. It's all various sizes from dust up to almost quarter, and even the odd 1 or 2 half tiger nuts, and it really is attractive to the carp. Just like making good baits, you can pick 2 or 3 of the different bags up and blend them together in buckets for spods and stuff like that, spod mixes, and you can create the most terrific mixes. And you can also then enhance them with the booster juices what we're making. All the particle boosters what we do at the moment are all PVA friendly. You can actually tip them into a bag and cast them out as they are. citrus poppers, again, another product what we've been developing with Keith Sykes. He's had years and years and years of experience of special hook bait mixes and making special hook bait, single hook bait fishing, probably more so than I have. I've always been a bait person, get the fish for eating the bait, and then I catch the fish quite easy. But like, if you're just dodging about from water to water, or you just want to nick a quick bite, you need a really good flavour and attractor system, what will do that for you? And the citrus is just, you know, extremely good. Summer and winter, like we was looking to probably do it only as a winter type product, but it just catches all through the season. The ace cards are little touches, little things what you can just add to baits and use as little dribbles onto hook baits and into particle and stuff like that, which will just again give you little tiny minor edges. We've introduced now 3 bankers basically from the old range of Nashbait, and that's the Scopex number 1, the Shellfish Sense Peel and the Crustacean Extract. Every one of them catches you more fish. It's just up to you which one you choose almost and how you choose to use it. Stick mix is something that we've been trying to do for a long time. We've bought a lot of new equipment this year and we've been able to grind things down to how we want. We've been able to blend oils into powders to make really good, nice, moist stick mixes. You could always do it by hand. We've always used stick mixes ourselves for donkey's years, but like you can never do them commercially, just how we wanted to do them and how we've been using them by our hand mixes. Each one's dedicated to the boilie. It's really free flowing and gets the bait working from almost the second it hits the water until, you know, the fish come along and give you a take. Then you've got all the peripheral items like the food soak. On the TG Active we've got some very strong dips. Now they're not food soaks like the tandoori paste, the tandoori shrimp paste. They're not for pouring onto your baits at all, but like as a single hook bait or just say 3 or 4 free offerings dropped in among a load of unadulterated free offerings, that gives the carp that target to home into. They allow you to sort of like really hype the bait up, the hook bait up. Excellent in the winter and the autumn, or when it's cold, when everything works slower because the water temperatures and the carp's metabolism slows down. Yeah, that's when they want that kick. And that's it, that's the 2015 bait range. And if there's any questions at all, contact info@nashtackle.co.uk. Any bait questions will always come back to me and I'll answer them the best I can.
You've been tuned into TFTV. Tackle Fanatics offer an extensive range of Nash products at the best prices around. To view our range of tackle and bait, log on to www.tacklefanatics.co.uk. Remember, Tackle Fanatics also offer finance to make your tackle purchase more affordable. Tight lines and wet nets from everybody at TFTV.